Oh, hi there. Welcome to BSF Recovery Team. I just got done editing a recovery we did on a very wet and rainy weekend last fall. Want to check it out?
Jimmy, full-size frame. I think the rear seal went out with the transmission. I lost all my tranny fluid, so didn't want to move anymore after we stopped here. So got a Dana 60 up front, 14 bolt in the rear, and beadlocks 350. So that works most of the time.
Most of the time.
I hope it's fixable yet.
When I arrived with the wrecker, I got out to take a look.
We got no tranny? No. Okay.
He's hoping it's fixable.
Well, as you heard on the video footage, we have a Jimmy with a leaky transmission. If it was a transmission cooler line, that would be an easy trail fix. Some rubber hose, a couple of hose clamps, and enough fluid to fill it back up. But with it leaking at the back of the transmission, that's a little more severe. I suspected it might be a cracked transmission housing. I've seen that happen before. When the front suspension compresses enough and the front drive shaft bottoms out, it pushes against the transfer case, and something's got to give. It usually ends up being the transmission housing cracking. Either way, a rear seal leaking or a broken transmission housing, it needed a tow back to camp.
Alright. No way I'm going to be able to hook on and make that corner.
Yeah, that's...
So I think we're going to have to winch you around the corner first.
Trying winching with mine, and then the battery was starting to go dead, so we stopped there. But
I understand.
I
Okay.
didn't want to run the engine too much without tranny fluid, so...
Yep. Well, we'll do that. We'll winch you. We'll put a snatch block on one of them trees over there and get you up around this tree and get you pointed in the right direction, and then we'll hook on. Tow you out. All right.
The Jimmy was broken down in a spot in the trail around a very tight corner. Too tight for the wrecker to get around with the Jimmy on the hook. So I decided on a single line, 90-degree winch recovery, using a snatch block and a tree for an anchor. Now that we had a plan, I backed the wrecker into position. Then I gave my assistant a snatch block and a tree protector, pointed out which tree to anchor off of while I spooled out cable. You can see here, the Jimmy was straddling a pretty good sized rock on the left side, and as we winched it forward and the rear tire went up over the rock, the seat cover couldn't help herself and had to tease the driver a little bit.
Hang on tight! You don't want to fall out! Whee! Fun ride!
Using a winch in this fashion to get a dead rig around a tight corner takes a little bit of time. And I'm sure there's some wheelers out there that are saying right now, why don't you just use a strap? It's a whole lot quicker. Well, the strap method might be a little bit quicker if successful, but quite often the strap ends up pulling the dead vehicle in the wrong direction. And with all these trees around, that usually ends up in body damage to the dead vehicle. So I like to play it safe and let the winch do the work. Was winching the Jimmy around the corner, I noticed that it had a welded-in receiver in the front bumper. This meant that I could use my receiver trick to hook onto the front of the Jimmy and tow it out. So I had my assistant Ryan grab the receiver off the back of the tow truck put it in the front of the Jimmy while I pulled forward to line up.
So why do you put that thing upside down?
It's a real good spot for the bar to sit. Just right underneath the upside down receiver. That way it can't slide up forward over the top of the bar, and it gives me a good place to lift it up away from the bumper so I don't hurt anything. With the receiver in place, we are now ready to back the wrecker up and hook the sling on to the front of the Jimmy. With the Blazer now in the sling, we are ready to make our way back to camp. From here on out, I thought it was going to be a pretty routine tow back to camp. At least, routine for the recovery team. Boy, was I wrong. We ran into a little bit of trouble because I neglected to notice one thing when I hooked the Jimmy up to the sling using my receiver trick. You'll have to wait for the next video to find out what that was, though. In the meantime, keep wheeling. Maybe we'll see you in the woods.